You're in the shit now, mustache!
I'm only yelling to impress the other guys. I never let anything happen to you, Sugar Bear.
Laird! Hit it! Go! Go! Go!
I was caught in the middle of a railroad track. Underground, and I knew there was no turning back. My mind raced, and I thought, what could I do? And I knew there was no help, nothing from you.
Convoy! 12 o'clock! On my command!
Another track.
Deploy! Okay now! Little off course here! Ooh, holy mommy fucking shit!
Oh, there they are. Look at these gorgeous sons of bitches.
Excelsior, true believers, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the Thunderbolts, which definitely seems to be being set up in the MCU. It definitely looks like this team is coming. I've got a little bit of a reason why this would be a smart idea. Some characters who might be able to show up, some old ones. Obviously, if they decide to introduce some new ones in this, that'd be all the more welcome as well. We could hear about some off-screen, small-scale scuffle with one of our heroes that ended up with them in the team, and then we'll finish with how this should impact the MCU. Its in-universe reason for being would be to create a wholly pro-Accords team under the command of Thaddeus Ross, who in the comics has the nickname Thunderbolt, and I think that's where they're going to get the nickname. It's not going to be. They're going to be sort of the same as like the Suicide Squad, where they have like, like they're called Team X or whatever it was, but they'll just be referred to as the Thunderbolts because they are being overseen by Thunderbolt Ross. The team would largely consist of villains and anti-heroes in that same Suicide Squad style, because that is essentially what they are. They're the Marvel version of that, and their main mission would be to bring in enhanced individuals who are either wholly against the Sokovia Accords or acting outside or against their given mission by the Accords. Basically, if you violate or just go directly against them on like an ideological level, this team is going to be the one that's set out to bring you in, potentially to put you into the raft. Alright, so obviously I've already name dropped Thaddeus Ross there. This could be where we see him try to track down all the things he'll need to become Red Hulk. I have heard reports, I can't remember, that he will use somewhere between the Weapon Plus serum that he had in Incredible Hulk, the one that ended up turning Blonsky into Abomination, and he'll also use Extremis, which is where he's going to get the ability to radiate heat. So there's already technology in the MCU that can allow him to become Red Hulk. He's just got to track it down. He's got to reattain it. Its existence at the moment could potentially go against the Accords because it has the potential to create superhumans that don't want to go with the Accords. Therefore, it needs to be controlled. And once Ross has his hands on it, he can become Red Hulk. Baron Zemo also seems very likely to be part of this team, especially since in the comics he was the one that first created the team. wasn't originally named after Thaddeus Ross, although he does have his own version in the comics as well. He just called them that because it sounded heroic, and he wanted to lead a group of villains in pretending that they were new heroes while sort of furthering their own nefarious plans. And it turned out that some of the villains actually liked being praised for using their powers and actually turned legit. So he seems like he's going to be in there. And then the other characters I've got here are mainly just sort of looking at where Ross is going to show up in early Phase 4, because we do know he's going to be in Black Widow. He seems like he's definitely going to be in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So we can kind of add some of those villains in. So Taskmaster and US Agent sort of fit in there. Maybe Yelena Belova as well. We're gonna have to wait to see how that goes. She may end up being the one that turns legit when realizing that, oh, I'm still being a bad guy, still being the assassin that the Red Room made me. That's not what Natasha wanted, and then turning legit. I think of the characters, she seems the most likely. Abomination certainly seems like he's going to be in there. I know he's been confirmed to be in She-Hulk, but in The Consultant, the Marvel one-shot back in Phase 1, they had actually made that, like within that, that one-shot, if you haven't seen it, basically just explains why Tony Stark shows up at the end of Hulk. Especially when at the end of Iron Man 2, they name him as a consultant for the Avengers Initiative program. And so he shows up on S.H.I.E.L.D's request to talk to Ross, and basically talks him out of putting Abomination on the Avengers program, because he's a bad guy. And then they end up finding Hulk, putting Hulk on the team instead, because Bruce Banner's more willing to work with them than Blonsky would have been. So Abomination, Ross would probably be like, I have a Hulk sitting in containment somewhere. Can put him out on the field at any point. And so Abomination will sort of be our Hulk surrogate. US Agent will end up being sort of our Captain America surrogate. Justin Hammer, it'd be really cool if in Armor Wars he does do what his counterpart in the animated Iron Man Armored Adventures does and becomes the Titanium Man. I think that'd be really cool, because then we would have a Tony Stark / Iron Man surrogate on that team as well. We know he was developing suits from Iron Man 2 in that courthouse scene. He's seen testing one out. If Yelena Belova's in there, she's our Black Widow surrogate. If Taskmaster's there, based on the fact that we've seen him with a bow and arrow, he's kind of our Hawkeye surrogate. We don't get a Thor surrogate, but then again, this team is more sort of Earth-based. It would be kind of cool, maybe, to see like the Wrecking Crew show up at some point, just in the MCU, and in that case, we could end up with like the Wrecker as one. Little hot take, sidestep for a second. Those 4 guys that were robbing the bank that Spider-Man stopped when they had when they accidentally like blew up the deli across the road. Those 4 could quite easily just become the Wrecking Crew. Just throwing that out there, Marvel, if you want to use that. I think that'd be kind of cool, especially since Asgard's now on Earth. Wouldn't be hard for some of those Team Vulture loyalists to sneak over to Norway and nab some Asgardian tech, like a crowbar that comes to your hand the same way Mjolnir does. Throwing it out there. And then the last character who's been in the team in the comics and has already shown up in the films as well is Ghost. And this would sort of make her essentially like an Ant-Man type, because she showed up in Ant-Man. She has quantum powers. That is to say, assuming she survived the snap. And by which I mean like she got snapped, so that when they all came back and had the pin particles and stuff, they could heal her. Otherwise, that was a rough 5 years and she's dead. But this being Marvel, she got snapped. She'll come back. Hannah John Kamen's not the kind of actress you get for a one-done deal sort of thing. I think Ghost will be back. And then, yeah, like I said, this team, the show or the movie or whatever, will basically be government-led group of villains and anti-heroes teaming up to take down an Avengers-level threat. It'd be really cool if that threat was someone like the Leader, who we've had set up but not fully come out, or like MODOK as like the new leader of AIM after Killian died. Something like that. I know MODOK's been thrown around a bit. He is one of the weaker characters. If he doesn't show up in, I think I saw something that said he was going to be in like the Hawkeye show or something. If he doesn't show up there, make him the villain for the Thunderbolts, because a giant brain in a chair, essentially, leading essentially a weapons manufacturer with a history of you know, fabricating terrorist attacks, seems like the kind of thing the government wants under control. And then with all of these superpowered individuals, MODOK is kind of the character you want. Other ones that you could throw in here are characters like Moonstone and Songbird. They'd be kind of cool. Songbird would then become sort of like a Mockingbird surrogate. We are getting Mockingbird in the Hawkeye show, and Moonstone would be like your Captain Marvel, and so you'd be able to sort of stack up a one-to-one on who's who of the Avengers roster. Be kind of cool. How this will tie in, obviously we're bringing in some old villains, giving them their moment to shine. We're introducing some new villains to the MCU. These guys they're bad guys. They will eventually break out of prison and plot some doomsday attack again. And so this team will likely be an amalgamation not only of the Thunderbolts from the comics, but also the Dark Avengers and the Masters of Evil, with them starting off as being owned by the government and run by the government, to then hired out by potentially Norman Osborn, pre-Green Goblin serum, I think. So that'll be this one, and then that'll be when they're like the Dark Avengers, because Norman Osborn started the Dark Avengers. By then we should have some new characters like Ares to join the crew, and then we'll actually have our Thor surrogate in Ares, and then eventually they'll just come out as a through and through just evil incarnation of the Avengers, that the Avengers will have to team up to take down one-on-one, and the battles there are going to be interesting, because you could put any character against any character. Obviously doing the one-to-one analog, having the Iron Man character go up against the Iron Man character, whoever they are, or the Cap against the Cap, the Hawkeye against the Hawkeye. Those are going to be interesting to see, but it's also going to be interesting to see, say, like Falcon's version of Captain America going up against Moonstone, who is essentially the Captain Marvel of the Masters of Evil. Those sorts of things are going to be interesting to see, and that right there could be the first Avengers film for this saga, leading on to eventually being a Battle Worlds Secret Wars storyline. That's what I think anyway. That's what I'm hoping for. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click that bell if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. That would be greatly appreciated. And until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.